When we hear the word space, many of us will look up in the sky, see the stars, the sun, the moon, and wonder what's it about. Again, when we hear the word space, there are very few who would relate space with Nigeria. So when we heard that Nigeria launched its first satellite and then NIGCOMSAT was born, many wondered, what's the point? How would this benefit the nation? The National Space Research and Development Agency was born about 25 years ago to harness the potentials in space and its technology and apply it to the Nigerian socioeconomic space. Has that been effectively done? There are some who say that many of the research documents and papers that have been done are sitting on the shelves gathering dust. What is the problem? Why is it not as easy as it sounds to link research and practicality? Well, our guest on today's program believes that a lot more can be done, and there's so much more. According to him, they have found a way to generate as much as 20 billion into the federal government account. How? Through space research and development. Newsnight sat down for a conversation with the Director General of the National Space Research and Development Agency, Dr. Matthew Adepoju. He talks to us about what was, what he met, and what's being done, the challenges and the successes. Dr. Matthew Adepoju, thank you for speaking with us on Newsnight.
Thank you.
Now, the National Space Research and Development Agency, NASRDA, is approximately 25 years old, if I'm correct. What's going on here?
Okay, thank you very much for finding time to speak to us. The agency, as we call it fondly, the agency, it means a lot. It lives in our heart. National Space Research and Development Agency was established on the 8th May 1999 by General Abdul Salam Abubakar at the twilight of his administration. And upon the return to democratic governance led by President Olusegun Obasanjo GCFR, the agency's program policy was approved by Federal Executive Council, and that led to many of our outstanding, groundbreaking activities in the agency.
Many Nigerians would tell you they know about NASA, National Space Agency in the US, but Nigeria's NASRDA is just there. Many driving along the road will see your signboard and they'll be asking, what exactly is Nigeria doing with space research and development? How is that affecting the nation's development and economy? And how is that affecting the Nigerian who is out there in the farm or going about his daily business? So let's step back a bit and walk us through this. What's NASRDA all about?
Well, Nigerian Space Agency, it came into being as a matter of necessity and a national focus, because our fathers recognized the missing link in our developmental priorities. And the missing link is you cannot run a country without space technology, because all the solutions to terrestrial problems reside in the space science, innovation, and technology. And I will break it down based on your question. There was a need for a common man. So many things are in need. And I made bold to declare that the space is the ubiquitous for humanity now. No modern man can actually function effectively well without space science and technology, with the innovations and spin-off that come with it. Right now, we are on here which was possible before, but was limited. But now, anywhere in the world, everybody can know what is happening based on the space technology communication, for example, which made it possible for Facebook, Twitter, and the likes to thrive and become a platform of mass literacy, mass information, and mass outreach to everybody wherever you are, as long as you are connected on your phone or you are connected on your tab. This has the direct impact of space science and technology, because the terrestrial solution is there, but they can't deliver the outreach that the satellite solution brings. And for the Earth observation satellite as well, we have used the technology and its application for various things, from precision agriculture to e-health, that is application in the health sector. And in the agency here, I actually led the team that implement GTS, Geospatial Tracking System, for polio eradication in Nigeria, which led to declaration of Nigeria as polio-free before we have another resurgence. And the major problem why it took so long is the fact that the officers who goes out there to fascinate our children, some of them will jump some households, some of them will jump some district, until we give them tracker to go. So when they go about with the tracker, by the time they finish the day's activity, we put it on the map. We identify the houses they went to and the one they miss out. And after the exercise, we see those ones that we miss out. We carry out the mop-up, and that really helped Nigeria to have broader coverage of polio vaccination, which led to Nigeria being declared as polio-free some couple of years ago.
Okay, so you're the fourth director general of this agency.
Yeah.
Walk us through your journey, and what has it been like since you came on board?
Well, the good thing and the wisdom in my honorable minister, which I want to celebrate, Chief Uche Jeffrey Naji, is his ability to identify talent, which key into the greatness of our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, who is the chairman of Nigerian Space Council, for identify somebody who is not outsider. I've started working in NASRDA since 2008, when I decided to come back to Nigeria from United Kingdom, where I was doing my great work. So being somebody that grew through the ranks and file of the agency, I know where it pinches. And the Honorable Minister gave me the charge that I spoke to many people, and all of them were pointing fingers at you, that you are the one to take the agency to the next level. So when I took over, I did the SWOT analysis and I identified the gaps. Some of them is infrastructure decadence. And then the morals of officers were at the lowest ebb. Coupled with the fact that some of the activities of the agency, we have not taken advantage of the NASDAQ Act 2010 that gave us power to regulate the space sector. And the space sector is divided into three segments. We have the upstream, midstream, and downstream. So, and I look at the structure that we have. That structure cannot serve the dreams and the vision of the President of Federal Republic of Nigeria. That led to creation of new departments and then repositioning to looking at the strength of our officers and moving officers to where their strength and their dreams can become a reality.
Okay, so you were in the United Kingdom where you did some work. You've come back to Nigeria, you've grown through the ranks, now you're the Director General. You've mentioned three aspects or three levels or three sides to NASRDA's work: upstream, midstream, and downstream. We'll get to that point where you need to let us understand exactly how it's helping out. But Nigeria as a nation currently is battling a couple of things. We have economic challenges, we have security challenges, we have atmospheric challenges. There's climate change, which is an issue, obviously. But the Space Development Agency, and when we talk space, it like, so your job, what, from the layman's point of view, just tells me your job is to look through and help me draw the gains from all of this. Would you say it's been 25 years of gains for Nigeria, in the sense that these agencies are supposed to help the research from here, or ideas from here are supposed to help the military in protecting Nigeria's territorial integrity? They're supposed to help the farmers in managing their crop cycles and how to let their lands to follow. So basically, a lot of things appear to be hanging. Maybe because the agency is not doing what it's supposed to do in the midst of all 25 years of existence.
I beg to disagree with that.
Okay.
And the truth of the matter is, the agency has engaged in all the sectors of our economy. And we've done great work in every sector that we have achieved great results. The agency's mandate is to vigorously pursue the technology, the applications, and innovations and spin-off deployment for Nigeria. And that's why we have the 30 years roadmap, 2005 to 2030. And the roadmap was broken down into smaller components: satellite launch, satellite development, and rocketry program, astronomy, application, and so many others. And it may interest you to know that Nigeria is the only African country that is operating the full breadth of the space program. However, to go back to your question, we have environmental problems, we have security problems, we have infrastructure problems, quite numerous problems, which space science and technology have the capacity and capability to provide solutions. But within our ecosystem here, we are doing as much as we go. One aspect that we've done greatly is massive capacity development for Nigeria. On this platform alone, we have 187 PhD holders with over 300 master degree holders and BSc and so on and so forth. But when it comes to taking this to grassroots, we have partnered with critical stakeholders to do the science and then push the application to the people with the frontline mandate. For instance, when the communication satellite was launched, some of the justification for the huge investment into communication satellite is that it's going to help us with telemedicine, it's going to help us with teleeducation, it's going to help us with teleconferencing. And it may interest you to know that during President Obasanjo's administration, Federal Executive Council and some other state functions like National Space, not Space Council, Economic Council, where the state governors all need to be there. Yeah. Couple of occasions, they had a meeting without having moving from Lagos, from Port Harcourt, from Sokoto, from Bauchi to Abuja. We use our communication satellite to provide that service for the federal government. In the same vein, we did the telemedicine. When we finished, because there is mandate issue, our vehicle was at the Federal Ministry of Health for years. So where we have issues is when the technology comes, when we pioneer with the research and development, then the agencies, the ministry, that have the mandate to mainstream it, oftentimes they don't usually do what they need to do. And we cannot be held liable for the responsibility that is not ours. Ours is to bring the technology, domesticate it, and showcase it, and ask them to run with it. So in the area of agric, we have done quite a lot in the agricultural sector. Currently now, at the African Association of Remote Sensing, my paper is being presented by one of my staff, Dr. Sheun Adeluyi, on the mapping of the best location in Ondo State for cassava production and cocoa production. And most of this scientific breakthrough comes from R&D. And by the time we finish, we will share the result with the Federal Ministry of Agric, that we can do this, we have this capacity. But if the ministry does not engage with us, then it becomes a challenge. But in the middle of this, we have some success stories, like in the education sector. We met with Executive Secretary of UBEC, Dr. Boboyi, who graciously gave us opportunity to showcase what our technology can do. We mapped out all the schools in the country, primary schools and junior secondary school, which was celebrated by the World Bank, that this is the first time Nigeria is producing evidence-based information for educational sector. If we didn't have, it took more than 10 years before ES that gave us that opportunity came on board. And I remember more than 3, 4, 5 occasions, we will go to them, we have meeting, we schedule meeting, nobody opened the door.
Isn't it a product of them not understanding exactly what NASRDA is there to do? As I started out by asking you, what's going on here? Because many people do not understand. Okay, let's hold on a bit here and go back. Earlier you mentioned 3 thematic areas of focus for NASRDA: upstream, midstream, and downstream. Yeah. So let's go there. Let's start off from, what do these 3 areas mean exactly to the organization and to the Nigerians?
Okay. The upstream has to do with satellite in space, astronomy from space, life sciences from space. Then the midstream is the communication between the two, which is about spectrum, communication between the satellite and the ground station. Then the downstream is the ground station itself. And, well, the ground station is inclusive of services that is being provided. So all these 3 segments have their own technical challenges and great opportunities for businesses. Some will launch the satellite, communication satellite, Earth observation satellite, or meteorological satellite, or scientific satellite to provide services. People pay for those services. Then when it comes to spectrum session, that is another big opportunity there. And then the ground station. So we have the mandate with NASRDA Act 2010 to regulate those 3 sessions.
In the area of the upstream, for instance, when NIGHTCOMSAT was launched, there was NIGHTCOMSAT 1, there was NIGHTCOMSAT 2.
NIGHTCOMSAT 1, NIGHTCOMSAT 1R.
Okay. NIGHTCOMSAT 1, that's the one we call 2. Okay. NIGHTCOMSAT 1 and 1R. Now, when this happened, there was this huge hue and cry everywhere. Nigeria's launched its first satellite. Then the next one, we had that one developed a fault, and then another one was launched. And it was launched outside of the country. And many people asked the question, is it that we don't have the resources to launch from within? That's on one side. Now, having launched that satellite, how has that satellite, yes, you talked about the teleconferencing you held in the area of health and the government, but beyond that, internet penetration, for instance, is a problem in the country, in the sense that many times, even with the satellite Nigeria has, do we still have a satellite in space that is functional? Are our security operatives using it? Or are we latching on to another satellite owned by somebody else. Since you're regulating all of this, let's understand exactly.
Okay. We throw more light about the NICOMSAT-1 and NICOMSAT-1R. In space science and technology area, if you don't, it's for the people with big heart. Because if you don't have big heart, you don't fall into that. So the communication satellite, NICOMSAT-1 satellite, all the journey started from the National Space Research and Development Agency by our staff here. And we launched the satellite. The satellite belonged to Nigeria, and then it's NASRDA satellite. Then, at the twilight of the success story, we realized that how do we make this work better for Nigeria? Part of our commercialization policy is what led us to registering the NICOMSAT Limited with the CAC. So NASRDA established NICOMSAT Limited as a vehicle to commercialize the transponder on the satellite. We dedicated one for government use and military, and then other transponder for commercial purpose. And there's no nation that can say that they are fully in control of their destiny in a situation whereby when the president wants to speak to service chief, and they are speaking through the communication satellite of another country, that country is listening to whatever is going on. And you don't know, a lot of international espionage will happen. So this satellite was launched, but 3 months into its operation, it was discovered that there was a technical glitch with the solar panel that's supposed to be charging the battery on board. And when I said that if you don't have heart, don't go into space, it's huge resources that goes in there. And if there's a slight mistake, you sent an object to where you cannot go and carry out physical repair. So we had to deorbit the satellite, and fortunately, it was within the time frame of insurance that we paid fully. So we called on the insurance, and then the insurance kicked in, and they provided the fund for replacement. So when we name it NICOMSAT-1R, it simply means that this is a replacement for NICOMSAT-1. Okay. And since then, along the journey, then the management of NICOMSAT Nigeria Limited decided to sever relationship with NASRDA, which is a fact of history. But at the same time, management of the satellite from there onward does not come to NASRDA. But we read it in the news, and we were authoritatively informed that the transponder was leased out, where hundreds of billions of naira was made, which went into CBN account. So great work has been done. Great success story is there. And currently now, because we have a Renew Hope agenda of Mr. President, we have domesticated the Renew Hope within our space ecosystem.
It's been an interesting conversation. You've talked about one of the things that intrigued me in what you've said is the biggest problem of any agency is not necessarily funding, but vision, leadership, capacity. A lot of things lie out there before you even get to the part of funding. And then you mentioned, after the funding, you talked about the welfare of the workers and capacity. You mentioned capacity building too. But before that, you mentioned the centers of NASRDA centers across the country. And it prompted a question for me. Nigeria has well over 100 universities, both state-owned and private universities.
Yeah.
Is NASRDA, and it's almost all of these universities have departments of geography. Some have departments of geology, physics, geospatial communications, and all of that. Is NASRDA working with these institutions? Is that how you're able to download the work? I mean, if you're working upstream, midstream, downstream, bring it all down. Are you working through the universities, or is everything from here?
We have a healthy relationship with Nigerian academic society. And the first DG implemented the space program resting on the pillars of Nigerian universities. That's why you find some of our centers established within Nigerian universities. The center in Ile-Ife, we have one center and one laboratory in Ile-Ife. Inside Obafemi Awolowo University, we have a center inside University of Nigeria in Nsukka, and we have centers in Kano as well. So we have this model that works exceedingly well for us, because wherever you already have established departments and lecturers and people on that field, it makes the journey easier. So we start from MOU, we have projects together. Then if we realize that this should be taken to the next level, then we create center of excellence in that place. And that model, we've signed MOU with a lot of universities and polytechnic and even colleges of education and technical schools too.
Yeah.
So, because this is the nexus.
I asked the question also because what you do here is specific, is very sensitive. It might look as if it's loose, so to speak, but it's very sensitive, because if you are looking into space and you want to say something is on longitude 001 north or 002 east or west, if you miss it by one fraction, that rocket or whatever it is you're studying could be misnamed, misabused, or something. So it's a very sensitive work you do here. But you also mentioned capacity. When you say capacity here, does that include the students who are graduating from this department? Are you looking to, because people in this organization will be retiring, they'll be phasing out. Are you looking to replace, or is there a nexus where both those in training and those working come together as often as, and how often does that happen?
Okay, for our own consumption, for our own needs, we have institutions for training. We have the AFRIGIS, ACTSI, which is a United Nations platform under the management and operation of NASRDA, located at Obafemi Awolowo University. And we have the ISSC, International Space Science and Engineering, an affiliate to African University of Science and Technology, where we award master's degree and PhD only. The one at Ile-Ife, we award PGD and master's degree. We are going to PhD now for that center too. So we send our officers there for training. And then when we started, some of these skills are not readily available in Nigerian universities, as at that time, 25 years ago. So we effectively sent most of the first set of our engineers and scientists abroad. And some of us who independently went abroad to school and acquired the skills with burning passion and national interest, we came back when it wasn't so interesting for many. But we know that the skills that we acquired will help our dear country. So the model that we run is working with the university, polytechnic, and colleges of education in some of our areas of engineering and science. Then our officers get trained through that model. We train them too. We train them and we establish this training program in some of our departments. Some of our staff, they are lecturers at various universities, University of Abuja, University of Jos, all over, because of the skills that they've acquired all over the world, from Russia to India to US to United Kingdom to Germany, all over. Most of our PhD, more than 50% of our PhDs are obtained from around the world. And the cutting edge of the technology for the training is second to none.
So are we saying, how soon can we say all the skills we need to keep this agency running and keep the Nigerian space, the space over Nigeria, protected, studied, and understood, and continuously developed. At what point do we get to where we say we have all of that within homegrown? It's now homegrown.
Unfortunately, I do not see that happening, because in the space science and technology, our technology become obsolete within 6 months to 1 year. So
as we doing research,
as we are doing, as we are evolving, as we are making breakthrough here, other countries are making breakthrough, and the technology changes. So we have to keep up the pace and knowledge acquisition all over the world, because in our industry, it's a collaborative work. You can't stand alone and say you are doing it alone. That's why we are signatory to Artemis Accord. Artemis Accord is being led by the American government and the American Space Administration, and is bringing countries of like minds together to do deep space science exploration. So we cannot say that even China, America, Russia, as some of them, you have some political brouhaha here and there. When it comes to the space sector, we are one. International Space Center stations there. There's module from Russia, there's module from America, there's module from ESA, there's module from Canadian Space Agency. And when we get to space, actually, there's no territorial boundary there.
Yeah.
So when we go to space, in our own sector here, we do not do you are here, I'm here. That's why our satellite can move all over and then see everything that is happening in America, happening in Asia, happening in Africa. So in space, the law that governs us is totally different from the law that governs us on planet Earth. That if you are going to America, if you don't have the visa, if you are going to UK, if you don't have the visa, our satellite doesn't need to take visa. So out there we go. Everybody is free to, and there's international treaty and convention that bigger nations, smaller nations cannot muscle somebody out. Though we have some things that we are contending with, but we are working our way through it. There's a platform we call UNOSA, United Nations Office of Outer Space Affairs. That is where international treaties are signed. Nigeria is a signatory to it, and we are observing and we are keeping.
In all of these things, Dr. Adepoju, the question will be, now we've talked about the students and what you're doing to ensure that there's a continuous inflow of manpower from the schools and all of that. But how does this affect our agricultural space? Is it just about the predictions of whether there's going to be flooding or there's going to be plenty of rain? Or how do we draw from this, especially towards food security?
Okay. About 2 weeks ago, we had a stakeholders workshop at Continental Hotel in Abuja here. That workshop was sponsored by European Commission in Nigeria here. And what we are looking at is a blockchain technology for Nigerians. And when we talk about pixel level mapping with blockchain technology, AI, algorithm, is we want to study, we want to map the entire country at pixel level, 5-meter resolution for the entire country, that everywhere we know what are the resources that is available here. Then when we come to the area of agriculture, what are the agricultural produce that can best harness in every section of the country? There's something that strikes my mind. When you go to United States of America, different states have different farm produce that they are proud of. They call some state peach state, they call some states different names because of the comparative advantage that the land and the weather condition of that state give them. Same thing is what we want to achieve with our blockchain technology for pixel level mapping, whereby we will be able to ask or advise the Ministry of Agric to informed or convene national convention or conference where every state will know what they should be producing based on the soil type, based on the weather condition, based on the water availability in their respective state. And we will do better. This one there's another project we are running, which is a climate smart agriculture for small farm owners. More than 80% of our farmers in Nigeria, they are small farm owners. And this one is going to help our farmers on how best they should do the farming, and then what time and what model they should implement so that we can achieve the full sustainability. Agriculture is a very vital vehicle for economic growth.
And we're running out of time. But so let's look at a bit about security. You've talked about geospatial technology for monitoring the Gulf of Guinea, the maritime sector, even monitoring agriculture, even identifying crop-specific locations across the country. The biggest challenge of Nigeria right now, which is also affecting agriculture, is our borders, our porous borders, where the bandits and smugglers all come through and all of that. Recently, the Minister of Interior introduced a group who's been trained. I mean, they're introducing technology to the borders, and so the group is going to be able to monitor. How is that working? Are you part of that technology? Is NASRDA part of that technology? Or is NASRDA going to introduce its own kind of technology? Because you have the eagle eye view.
Thank you.
So you're able to see everything. So how is it that you're not stepping into that space, so to speak? And are you even working with the military to help curb all this banditry?
I'm quite aware.
And I'm glad you mentioned the Chief of Defense
Space Administration.
Space Administration that you're working together with. So walk us through this.
We jokingly in our ecosystem usually pinch our brothers in the military that even if they write love letters to their girlfriends, they still put restricted on it. So when it comes to security sector, you cannot discuss what go behind the scene publicly. And then oftentimes, when we support them with images or analytics, ours is to give them. What they make use of it, we don't get feedback, and we shouldn't be asking for feedback because unless they realize that some things we gave them, all they needed to tickle with is, and then they give us the tips of what they need. So, but sometimes when we see security challenge like explosion or something happen or kidnapping, we do not know 500 or 1,000 that the technology have stopped. I'm from my laboratory here. We work for DSS. There was a kidnap in Kogi State. Coincidentally, the commander in Kogi State as at that time is now the DG of DSS. We need to work together. And he requested from the laboratory here, we were able to pinpoint where those people were making calls from. And they drove to the village, and then they drove around with their usual presence. And the pressure was on the kidnappers. Of course, they released the kidnapped people, and then they ran away before the long arm of government could catch up with them. You can see indirectly how our work in our laboratory here has really, the Nigerians that were rescuing that mission never knew. So most of these things happen behind the scene that we don't go to the press to talk about. And quite a lot of things that we did. It breaks my heart when a state shut down communication. Regular communication, MTN, Glo, and all of them from the state that, they want to battle insurgents, they want to do this. They realize that they are using... Most of our signal analytics doesn't point into that because the campaign are not using the terrestrial solution. Most of them are using the satellite-based communication system. Very sophisticated. And that's some of what we are doing with the military too. But we need to do more, and they need to come to the table as well, so that we can support them the more. Because by the time we did signal analytics over the Northeast, and some of the signal we picked, the military can say, oh, this is ours, this is ours. But all this one that we couldn't recognize, then let us investigate. And that is where geospatial intelligence starts to kick in to help us. These are some of the windows that is available for our brothers and sisters in the security ecosystem to take advantage of.
You know, Dr. Adepoju, again, really interesting. Nigeria is a blessed country.
Absolutely.
And Nigeria has everything it needs to make it.
Surely.
So when are we going to get to space? When are we sending someone to the moon?
And to the moon?
Or to space?
To outer space,
yes.
We have planned in the next 1 year or less than 1 year, the first Nigeria will be in the outer space. Ooh. We signed an MOU in June, which we are actively working on it.
Would that launch of the first Nigerian to space be coming from inside the country?
No.
Why? Are we not?
We have not developed.
We're not looking to develop that technology.
We do, and we have a center for space rocketry, transportation, and propulsion located in Epe, and they are doing a great job within the confine of paucity of fund, because some of these things you have seen it globally. You will do trial launch and trial launch. Some will explode, some will explode, some will explode. And then you get it right, and then you can go. And in the middle of that, we have achieved some kilometers. The most important thing, first and foremost, is for you to master lift off. That's the first thing to master for your rocket to take off. That one, we have perfected that. Our lift off never failed since we've perfected that. Then, the capacity
We've done lift off in this country.
Oh, yeah. We've done that 10 years ago. We've achieved that one 10 years ago. And next year, we're going to do another launch. So, but some of these things, we usually keep them under wrap. But we have gotten to the stage now that we must let Nigeria know, we must let the federal government know that the technology to do this is within reach. However, it requires dedicated funding to achieve the outer space level.
As we wind down now, you've said a lot of things that many Nigerians out there will be like, we've heard it all.
Mm-hmm.
Space, earth, wind, fire. At the end of the day, we want to be safe, we want to eat, we want to survive. So if you had a word for Nigerians and you're going to tell Nigerians, what would that word be?
First and foremost, we shouldn't feed, undermine, undervalue, or not believe in ourselves. Because if we do that, we are playing into the hands of our international competitors. And every nation have the strategic action plan to put themselves first, to put their own citizens first. Now, if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will believe in you. The workforce we have in NASRDA here, highly trained, majority of them. We are still training some right now. What we have here, we are in business to change the narrative. This is the headquarters of the realization of the Renew Hope agenda of Mr. President. Because the fourth industrial revolution already began, and Nigeria must not play a catch-up role again. Yes, we will consign the fate of about 250 million Nigerians into jeopardy. And that's why I'm making this call to all the stakeholders, especially the leadership to give us the chance to prove and to operate and to midwife and mainstream the space science and technology into their operations. It cut across board. Nobody is left behind. Education, health, agri, transportation, defense, communication, everywhere. The space is ubiquitous. And this is one of our priority, to create training hubs for our youth. Nigerians is among the top 3 most intelligent people on earth. As intelligent as we are, unfortunately, strategic action plan to bring this intelligence to productivity to help Nigerians have been a missing link. And that's one of the reasons why we are 1,000% behind the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
What can the Nigerian do to change this narrative?
Starting with me, starting with management of NASRDA, to bring the program and the project that will help different sectors of the economy to thrive.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adepoju. Thank you for speaking with us.
Nice meeting you and talking to you. Thank you.
And that's our show for today. I want to thank you for letting us be a part of your day. We do hope you enjoyed the conversation. Let's hear from you. Send us a comment via our handles right there on your screen, or send a long email. We'd love to read from you, and then we'll bring it out to the world. But also know that you can go back and watch this conversation again so that it sinks in well, digest it. This and other conversations. Just go to our website, channelstv.com/podcast to get started, or youtube.com/channelsweb. Find the playlist there. Just binge on the conversations. Till we'll bring you another edition of the program.